Does photography really need another social media platform? Hi, I'm Adam and welcome back to First Man Photography, and in today's video we're discussing the wild world of photography on the internet. Some tips about promoting your work and asking, does photography really need another social media platform? Before we get going today though, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you need a domain name, a website or an online store, make your next move with Squarespace. Over the last several months, I have been exploring ideas around the future of photography, social media, the photography industry, and how this all affects us, amateur or professional, when we are trying to create artwork. Now, unfortunately, over this time, we have also entered into this awful energy and cost of living crisis. And as people start to cut back on their spending, the economy spirals, and I think photography is going to suffer more than most industries. Take landscape photography, for example. Pretty much every professional landscape photographer is making a good portion of their income from education and selling things like prints and books and calendars. Now, these things really are total luxuries and the first things to go when we are forced into survival mode. Workshops and photography tours are brilliant, but they are very expensive. And we've already seen the demand for these things absolutely collapse. It's a bleak outlook. And even if we try to support our favourite artists when we can, in many cases, it's unlikely to be enough. Since the digital era and the explosion in the popularity of photography, we've never lived through a long, drawn-out recession. Over the next 5 years or so, if your business or your love of photography survives, that will be a big win. There is a place that's proven to be very resilient in the face of a recession though, and that is online. The instant access to a global audience for your photography should be a no-brainer if you are running a photography business. And if, like me, you're struggling to find local photography friends, then the online photography community becomes a lifeline to provide inspiration and keep the fire and interest alive. The word community gets thrown around a lot, and I questioned a while ago whether a photography community even exists or not. I think a lot of people have been putting their cameras down lately, but I think the main reason I felt like this was because most of my social media activity was on Instagram, and this has become an absolute shit show for photographers. It was never great for us really, but it's now this feed full of pointless videos, TikToks, and adverts. I reckon only about 30% of what I see is from the people I follow, and then only a percentage of that is photography. Almost every time I go on Instagram now, I think of the quote, "If you are not the customer, you are the product." And truthfully, farming your data is the business model of Facebook. YouTube's not without its issues, but I also don't really think it can be classified as true social media. It's more of a content platform and has definitely become the primary source of photography information and entertainment over the last 15 years for all the good, bad, and ugly that brings with it. Twitter, I believe, is sort of a true social media, and so far it has stood the test of time. I've been on there a lot more over the last few months, and it seems to be a really great place for photography actually, and I'm enjoying the little community on there. Personally, I also feel less pigeonholed, and I find it easy to dip in and out of different topics without alienating the people following me. Now, one of my favourite follows on Twitter has been Andrew Atkinson. He's been posting really insightful and interesting polls each day that have generated a lot of fun and interesting conversation, so make sure you go and give him a follow and maybe get involved. So without even mentioning Facebook, Twitch, Snapchat and Flickr, that already feels like a lot of places to be communicating. So do we really need another social media platform? Unless you've been living under a rock, you will have heard more and more people recently talking about the social media app called Vero. I'll tell you more about that in a minute, but think early days of Flickr or Instagram and you'll have a pretty good idea of what it's like. But if you haven't heard of it, you're probably sat there thinking, oh no, not another bloody social media app I've got to learn about and post to. If you are, you're not alone, because I think that's how we all feel, really. Now, of course, you don't have to use it. You can choose to ignore it completely, but we put a lot of time into creating our photos, and there's nothing wrong with wanting some attention on our work. And this becomes essential as well if you're running a business. You also shouldn't feel any shame whatsoever for building an audience on any platform. Twitter and Instagram have been littered recently with professional photographers or people with big followings who are being very snarky about people sharing their Vero accounts. I feel bad for these people because apart from being extremely cynical, it's also a story as old as time where a person thinks they've made it. They then rest on their laurels with a sense of entitlement and are unwilling to adapt or change for the future. I get it though, rebuilding is hard, but I actually get a real kick out of rebuilding because it helps to keep us sharp and make thoughtful posts and contributions that are not just reliant on a big following for engagement. It also provides a great opportunity to build your first decent-sized audience if you can sort of ride the wave of adoption. So maybe we do need a new social media platform if it keeps things fresh and breaks up the monopoly of the tech giants. We'll take a look at Vero in a second, but before we do, as you know, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. And in my opinion, Squarespace is just the best place for photographers to build their website because it's just so easy to do. And unlike on social media, you control how your images are presented. You start by using one of their beautiful templates, put some of your images and a bit of your text on there, and before you know it, you will have a unique and beautiful looking website. You don't need any coding knowledge either, and it will dynamically adjust to look perfect on all types of screens, including a phone. You can start with a simple gallery, but as you grow, you can then upgrade your site to an online store where you can easily start selling things like prints, books, or anything else that takes your fancy. It also now has a member section if you want to run a subscription service, and in the unlikely event you run into trouble, they have award-winning customer service. I've used Squarespace for many years now and have never looked back. So go to squarespace.com or click the link down below and start your free trial today. And if you like what you've created, use the offer code FIRSTMAN to get 10% off your first purchase. Right, so let's have a little look at the Vero app. And I'm not in touch with Vero, and this definitely isn't sponsored by them, but I'm going to split this up into two parts to look at it from a user's point of view and also for those trying to promote their work. Now, in reality, Vero is not that new. I first signed up back in early 2018 on the promise that it was going to build a community and be good for viewing photographs in more detail. I had a little play around with it for a few months. I posted some images and then pretty much gave up on it because there was barely anyone on there and it felt a bit pointless. I then completely forgot about it up until recently when people started talking about it again, and just from the fact it was still around, it piqued my interest. Now, firstly, there are a really good number of people on there now who are posting high quality photography, so it's really not that hard to find some inspiring images. What I particularly like about it is the ability to view the images in higher resolution. With landscape photos and videos, you can click them and then turn your phone so you can see the content in the correct orientation. You can also then zoom in to see the details, and there's also a nice desktop app that lets you see the images even bigger, which I think is really nice, although I wish it was just in the browser rather than a separate app. Vero are also still making a big deal about the idea of community, and at the moment, that does certainly seem to be the case. This is partly driven by the intros feature where you can share another person in your feed, where it makes it really easy to follow them and send some attention their way. You can see here I've done that with my friend Andrew Marr. Probably the biggest feature, though, is that Vero claim it is an entirely chronological feed with no algorithm, no ads, and no data mining. Personally, I find that very appealing without any of the shenanigans you normally get and leaving you to personally curate your own feed with your favorite photographers or content creators. This does make discovering new people a little trickier, and the discovery pages combined with the search page, which all feels a bit busy from a UX point of view. Personally, I'd love to see a Flickr-style explore feature where a batch of great content is prominently featured each day, because it used to be really exciting whenever I got an image featured in Explore on Flickr. So if you're sharing your work on Vero, one benefit of not having an algorithm is the system doesn't care what type of content you share, whether it's a photo, a video, or even a link. If I share the link to this video, it will directly open the YouTube app, which is really nice. With this in mind though, it's going to be really important not to spam people's feed with a load of links, shitty videos, or constantly shilling your own stuff. With any content I share, I'm always trying to deliver as much value as humanly possible to make it more about the viewer than about me. It should be obvious, but often it's not. As viewers, we want to see high quality content, and therefore that is what we should be attempting to deliver as content creators. So Vero does seem very nice, but is there anything we need to be concerned about? Well, a few years ago, there was an uproar about Vero's terms of usage for the content you upload, but they were updated in 2020, and from what I can find, they say, we claim no ownership rights over user content created by you. And that includes profile information, videos, images, music, comments, questions, and other content or information. So that all seems pretty decent. The main question I have though is around their business model. They've said for a while they're going to turn on a subscription requirement, and that hasn't happened yet. I hope they do though, because remember, if you are not the customer, you are the product. It's really a much more ethical model where you pay a small fee for a service they provide, which then allows them to keep the app with no algorithm, no ads, and no data mining. With all that in mind, I definitely think it's worth a try. And if you do decide to go on there, I would be honored if you followed me. You can hit the link down below for that, or just search First Man or Adam Carnach and you'll find me there. As a final thought though, just remember that social media is not real life. Even with a big following on its own, it's not going to make you happy. I talked on last week's video about living in balance, and spending more than a couple of hours on social media is going to quickly tip the scales against you. Anyway, getting outside, exploring the landscape, being creative, and actually making the images is much more fun, and is the thing that will provide that much needed fulfillment.